Well, we're joined by a number of women to discuss this. Kruti is here opposite me in the World Have You Say studio. She's worked in India and travels there frequently. And we're also joined by Kalpana, who is in the Delhi studio. Welcome both of you to the programme. Kruti, first of all, are you surprised that, you know, many people will read this report and say Afghanistan, Democratic Republic of Congo, possibly even Pakistan, not that surprising that women there, it's a tough life for them. But India, is that surprising to you?
I don't think it's surprising at all for me. Based on my personal experiences out there, having worked out there, just the personal threat that I feel walking around the streets, not even late at night, 7 o'clock in the evening, you're surrounded by gangs of men who, you know, they may be just sitting around talking, but you don't see women out in public life. And I think even whilst working with an NGO out there, all the girls had a 6 p.m. curfew. We were not allowed to leave the building after that time. I just think based on those experiences, it's not surprising at all.
Were you physically threatened or felt uncomfortable?
I think people don't say anything to you. There's this phrase in India called Eve teasing, where, you know, men make eyes or they hiss at you and they whisper behind your back. And if you're by yourself as a lone female walking through those streets, it does feel threatening. People don't physically threaten you. I've never had anyone come up to me and, you know, try and grope me or anything like that. But I think that feeling of uncomfortableness, that feeling of insecurity in that sense, it really limits your freedom.
Kalpana?
Yes, I also would like to echo the same kind of feelings, but the only problem is, despite all these things which my friend has suggested, I have also faced quite a few incidents, but I'm feeling India should not be at the 4th position in the most dangerous countries as far as women are concerned, because I'm not able to see any Arabian country here. And I understand even Bangladesh fares worse than we people are doing. I understand India is doing a lot worse, but at least constitutionally we are giving equal rights to women which are not there in Arabian countries, or for that matter even Bangladesh. And
but I think, I think the constitution is very good, and I think the legislation that India has is excellent, but I think it's all about implementation. I think the reason why India is in the top 5 worst countries is because it's a cultural issue. The police people, the law enforcement people don't believe this legislation. They don't feel it's their duty to carry it out. And I can say that from personal experience, having worked with an NGO, Ahmedabad Women's Action Group. They work in Gujarat, and may have had to sensitize police to the issues of domestic violence that women face every day, because they feel that domestic violence is a domestic issue. It should be sorted out within the family. If a woman is coming to say that she is feeling threatened, they don't file a report. But after this NGO worked with them over a number of years, now they're taking the issue seriously. If the law enforcement and the police people who are meant to implement this legislation don't act, I mean, I don't know what hope there is for women, really.
What you are saying is perfectly all right and very true also. I'm not denying any fact that India fares very poor as far as women's safety is concerned. Being a woman, I also feel the same. Sometimes at night, if I want to go alone, perhaps I had to think twice. That's true. And other than this, I also fear more from police perhaps than outsider people. But keeping all things in mind, I would still feel that India should not be at the 4th position, because why we are refusing the other countries which are even worse at this scale?
You mentioned that, and Surav has posted on our Facebook page an interesting point. Surav believes it's definitely wrong, not because I'm an Indian, but because of what I see. Our president is a woman. Leader of both ruling and opposition parties are women. Our foreign secretary is a woman. How can a survey be true? What about the Middle East? What about Africa and Pakistan and Afghanistan? Can you understand, Kruti, that for many people, they look at India and they say, wow, all of these women in public life, that's a massive achievement for women in India.
That definitely is, and I don't doubt that for a second. But I think if we're looking at everyday women and the choices they have in everyday life, I think it's very limiting. We have a few exceptional people out there who are leading these parties, but if we look at people in politics at junior levels, maybe people who are CEOs of companies, there's not very many women out there. I think they are limited in their choices in terms of education, in terms of job opportunities, and all of that, I think, has an impact on the security of women.
Well, ladies, let me introduce you to two more people who join us on the line. Kiran is in Mumbai and Ankita is also in Delhi. Kiran, let's get your perspective from a different Indian city. What do you make of the report, first of all?
When this report did come out this morning, there was a substantial amount of buzz on Twitter, which I was on at that point, and most of the women out there were pretty surprised to find India at fourth spot, because as women who live in cities, perhaps we really don't feel that India should be at the fourth most dangerous spot. We are working, we are independent women, we are earning an income, but we are not representative of the Indian woman as a whole, we agree. So, yes, we do have feticide, we do have dowry deaths, but India is relatively not as bad as the report seems to make it out to be, I feel.
What do you think, Ankita?
Well, just to continue with Kiran, I think one of the major reasons why she thinks that India should not be in the list is probably because she's living in Mumbai. Coming from Delhi, I can clearly compare the difference between how women live in Mumbai and how women are in Delhi. Even when I went to Mumbai, I felt much more safe on the streets or in public transport than in Delhi. To start with, a place like India is not safe for women, starting right from the point when we're not even born, with female feticide, infanticide, and once we are born, we are harassed, raped, and, anything. At professional institutions, we are harassed, and then there is dowry. There's so much more. Within India, of course, like you cannot compare languages and regions. You cannot also compare the safety of women. I completely agree with Kiran that Mumbai, when you look at Mumbai, you would feel that, okay, India's not that bad. Come to Delhi, come to Ahmedabad, come to Patna. You cannot really walk on the streets even at 6:30 in the evening.
I mean, this goes beyond just the safety of women out on the streets. One of the major parts of the study that contributed to India being fourth was the infanticide, was the fact that so many female fetuses are aborted every year. I mean, a recent report by the UN Population Fund said 50 million girls have gone missing over the past 10 years. That is due to infanticide and female fetuses being aborted.
And I think that's it. And the situation has got worse over the years. If you look at the current Indian census data, they say there are 914 girls for every 1,000 boys that were born. In 1961, that number was 976. Now, if India is this growing superpower, why is this situation getting worse? And I think it's not to do with economic development. It's to do with the cultural barriers and the cultural attitudes. That hasn't changed. There is still this ideal that women should be a particular way. They should be subservient. They should be quiet. They should be, in the background. Male should be on the forefront. And I think that attitude hasn't changed at all.
Also, I think it's like a vicious circle. People don't prefer girls because then they have to pay dowry for them, because they are such a liability for them, because they have to take care of their safety and security. And because they have to do so much, they end up killing the girl child. It's like a vicious circle which keeps going on. And it's basically the mentality, especially of the North Indian people, not just men, but even women. They grow up with such a mentality. And it's usually the woman who seeks a male child than the husband, which I can say because of my family background, my mother being a gynecologist. It's usually the woman who seeks a male child.
But do you not feel that she's pressured by other males and other people in her family to then abort this fetus?
I wouldn't have thought so if I had not seen women crying when a girl child was born and the fathers being happy about it, or rather indifferent. Because it's a matter of pride for them that she is a mother of 3 sons or 4 sons, and oh, look at that woman, she has just 2 daughters. It's about their...
And there are ways to tackle this, of course. I mean, for certain parts of London, for example, in the UK, if you're pregnant and you go for a scan, they won't actually tell you the sex of your child for fear that if it is a female, that it could be aborted. So there are ways to tackle this.